This was simply unbelievable. Everything seemed to be following a common path. A simple life, predictable, almost without grace. Until, in a single moment of routine, something happened. Something that no one could have predicted. A twist so shocking that it changed the destiny of everyone forever. When you think you've already understood everything, that's when everything changes. Prepare your heart. This story is real, and it will mark you. It was a morning like any other in the small town of Vilvadia. Ana Beatriz woke up early, as always. At 34 years old, she was a teacher at the municipal school and a single mother to Lucas, a 9-year-old boy. She believed that her husband Marcos had passed away 3 years earlier in a traffic accident. Since then, Ana Beatriz had been carrying alone the weight of the house, the bills, and her son's smile. Every morning, she prepared breakfast, got Lucas's uniform ready, kissed his forehead, and said the same phrase, "Today is going to be a good day, my love. We can do it." Lucas smiled, still sleepy, and replied, "I know, Mom, because you are with me." They didn't have much, but they had each other. The house was small, the car old, the clothes were the same as years before, but there was love, a quiet, constant love that sustained the two of them. Ana Beatriz looked at her son and thought, as long as he is well, I can endure anything. She had no idea that that ordinary day was about to turn into the greatest test of her life. The sun came through the kitchen window while she washed the dishes, dreaming of a calmer future for her son. Even with the daily difficulties, Lucas's laughter when he returned from school was what gave her strength to keep going. At night, before sleeping, she told old stories from when Marcos was still present. Lucas listened attentively and always asked about his father, keeping his memory alive in the family's heart. Ana Beatriz kept the few remaining photos with affection, touching them as if she could bring her husband back for a few seconds. The simple routine of the house filled the environment with a delicate peace, even in the face of the accumulating bills. She believed that, with effort and faith, they would overcome any obstacle life presented. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning mixed with the sound of birds outside, creating a moment of silent gratitude. Ana Beatriz whispered a short prayer before leaving for work, asking for protection for the day that was beginning. Lucas ran to hug her at the door, reminding her that their love was greater than any material difficulty. Life followed its calm rhythm, but destiny was already plotting something that would change everything forever. But what Ana Beatriz didn't know was that destiny had already prepared a surprise that no one in the world could imagine. That same afternoon, Ana Beatriz received a call from the school administration. Her tone was serious. "Ana Beatriz, we need you to come here immediately." When she arrived, she found the director and 2 men in suits she had never seen before. They were lawyers. They informed her that a construction company had bought the entire block. The house where they lived with Lucas would be demolished in 30 days. "You have to vacate. The compensation is small," they said coldly. Ana Beatriz felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. "This house is all we have. My son was born here. My husband died thinking we would be safe here. The lawyers were cold. The law is on our side. Sign and avoid lawsuits." Ana Beatriz returned home trembling. How would she tell Lucas that they might end up sleeping on the street? How would she explain that, after everything they had already lost, they were still going to lose the little they had left? That night, she didn't sleep. She sat in the dark living room, looking at the photos on the wall. A tear fell on the wedding photo. "Marcos, help me. I don't know what to do anymore." The injustice seemed complete. A widowed mother, an innocent boy, and a system that didn't care about stories of love and pain. She walked back and forth in the small room, trying to find words that wouldn't hurt her son's heart. The silence of the house seemed heavier than ever, echoing the happy memories that now seemed distant. Ana Beatriz held the house keys as if they were the last piece of security she had left. She thought about how Marcos had worked so hard to conquer that simple home. The news of the demolition brought a deep pain, mixed with revolt against the coldness of the law. She imagined the uncertain future, without a place to call home, and fear tightened her chest. Lucas slept peacefully in the room next door, unaware of the storm approaching the family. Anna Beatrice knelt beside her son's bed and stroked his hair, silently promising that she would fight for him. But when everything seemed lost, something even more painful was about to happen. 2 days later, Lucas arrived from school with a high fever and a lot of headache. Anna Beatrice rushed him to the health center. The doctor diagnosed suspected sinusitis and immediately hospitalized the boy. They needed expensive tests and urgent treatment. Anna Beatrice had no health insurance or money saved. The compensation from the house would barely cover 1 month's rent. Now, her sick son and they were about to be left without a roof. In the hospital, holding Lucas's warm little hand, Anna Beatrice broke down. "My God, why so much? I already lost my husband. Don't take my son too. Please." Lucas, weak, whispered, "Mom, don't cry. I'm going to get better, I promise." The hospital bill was growing rapidly and the deadline to leave the house was approaching. It was the bottom of the pit. There was nowhere else to fall. Anna Beatrice knelt in the hospital bathroom and prayed with a broken heart. "If the Lord exists, show me sin any sign." Fear consumed her thoughts while she waited for the test results. Every minute by her son's side seemed like an eternity of anguish and helplessness. She watched Lucas's pale little face and felt her heart breaking slowly. The nights in the hospital were long, full of whispered prayers in the dark. With her heart in pieces, Anna Beatrice and Lucas were forced to leave the house. With no money for rent, mother and son ended up sleeping on the street, protected only by a thin blanket. It was exactly in this moment of absolute despair that something unexpected happened. That cold night, while Anna Beatrice and Lucas slept huddled on the sidewalk, an elderly lady approached. Her name was Donna Margarita, a volunteer from a support institution. With a compassionate look, Donna Margarita gently woke Anna Beatrice and offered temporary shelter. The next day, she heard the whole family's story and was deeply touched. Donna Margarita took them to a shelter and began to seek help. She spoke of faith and how life sometimes uses mysterious paths to bring justice. Anna Beatrice poured out everything: the loss of the house, Lucas's illness, the widowhood she had carried for years. She cried like she hadn't cried in a long time. Donna Margarita held her hands and said, "Daughter, sometimes the miracle doesn't come the way we expect. It comes disguised." Thanks to Donna Margarita's help, Lucas received proper medical treatment and began to improve. Anna Beatrice felt a small relief in her chest, but she still carried the weight of the street and uncertainty. Donna Margarita promised that she would not leave them alone in that situation. The unexpected kindness of that lady was the first ray of hope in the midst of the chaos, even sleeping in a simple shelter. Anna Beatrice thanked God for one more day by her son's side, but neither Anna Beatrice nor anyone else was prepared for what would happen the next day. The next day, a well-dressed man appeared at the shelter asking for Anna Beatrice. He was tall, had a tired look, and carried the expression of someone who had traveled the world. When Anna Beatrice saw him, she felt her heart stop. It was Marcos, alive. He had left more than 3 years ago in search of a great job opportunity abroad. Due to a series of problems, lost documents, a serious accident that left him in a coma for months, and communication failure, he was never able to notify the family. Everyone had given him his dead after the initial accident. Marcos returned rich after years of hard work and persistence, desperately searching for the wife and son he had left behind. He found Anna Beatrice and Lucas sleeping on the street, homeless, exactly as Donna Margarita had described. Marcos fell to his knees in front of them with tears in his eyes. "My love, my son, what have I done to you?" Anna Beatrice couldn't believe what she was seeing. The man she thought was dead was there, alive, rich, and destroyed by regret. Lucas, still weak, looked at his father and whispered, "Dad, Is that really you? Marcos told how everything happened with a choked voice. He had left to try to give his family a better life. But everything went wrong. The accident left him hospitalized for a long time, unable to make contact. When he finally recovered and became rich, he rushed back home. Finding his wife and son on the street was the biggest shock of his life. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I ended up destroying everything I loved the most. Ana Beatriz cried nonstop, mixing pain, anger, and relief. I buried you in my heart 3 years ago, and now you show up alive. Marcos held her hands and asked for forgiveness on his knees. He revealed that he had transferred the entire house back to her in Lucas's name, and he would pay for all the treatment and the family's future. Lucas, seeing his parents together, smiled for the first time in weeks. Ana Beatriz understood that the love she thought was lost had never really died. Marcos had returned at the most difficult moment, exactly when they needed him the most. And so, what seemed like the end of the line became the beginning of a new story. Months later, the family was reunited again in the reclaimed house. Lucas was completely cured and happy by his father's side. Marcos never left their side again, dedicating himself fully to the family. Ana Beatriz learned that sometimes what seems like death is just a long absence. Dona Margarita continued visiting the family. As a dear friend, Marcos would carry forever the weight of the mistake of having left the family alone. But he would use his wealth to make up for the lost time. Ana Beatriz, looking at her husband and son, understood the deepest lesson. True love resists even the greatest distances and the greatest misunderstandings. Even when everything seems lost, life can bring back those we thought had gone away forever. The family that almost fell apart was rebuilt in a stronger and more united way. Never judge the end of a story before the last page. Sometimes what seems like a definitive loss is just a temporary separation. Sometimes those we thought had left forever return exactly when we need them the most. Never underestimate the power of love that resists time and distance. Even if it takes years, the truth always finds its way back. We believe that nothing happens by chance, that even in the worst situations, love can find a way to return. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to believe again. Comment below. Have you ever lived or known a story where the impossible happened? And if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel, but only if this story really spoke to your soul.